When I came across this priceless piece of advice from Albert Einstein, my mind just blew up. It totally changed how I learn new words. Einstein said, "Example isn't another way to teach. It's the only way to teach." But guess what? It doesn't only apply to teaching. It is super important when it comes to learning too. When you're learning a new language, you often don't have a teacher around to explain the meaning of new words and provide example sentences. So you are the one who has to teach yourself the new words. But unfortunately, what I've seen the vast majority of language learners doing is just writing translations or highlighting new words at best. However, that's not enough at all. There is something missing here. To really remember new words, you need to make example sentences, as Albert Einstein said. But here's a question. Is any example fine? Of course not. Your example sentences need to engage your personal life experience, your emotions, your memories, and even your 5 senses: smell, touch, taste, sight, hearing. In other words, if you connect a new word to your own life, it's much easier to remember, or let's say it's very unlikely to forget. Because example is the only way to teach, I like to give you a few examples. A few months ago, I faced the word cling, which means to hold someone or something tightly. I could have simply said, I clung to my mother and feel proud of myself because I put Einstein's advice into action, which is not true. Because I have never clung my mother since I was born. So my example sentence made no sense to me at the time, nor does it now. As I said, your example sentence needs to be personalized. Thinking about a qualified example took me about half an hour. Yep, sometimes you need to put as long as 30 minutes to find a proper example, but it's definitely worth it. After all, the most tragic scene of Titanic movie popped into my mind, in which Jack clung to a piece of wood, staring at his lover's eyes and freezing to death. It is what exactly a true example sentence is like. I had already watched that movie, I could vividly remember the scene, and I was almost in tears when Jack froze to death, which means my emotional feelings were involved too. And that's exactly the trick that helped me to remember the word, the meaning, and even the example sentence after 5 months or so. Here's another example. The other day I came across the word cram, which means to force something into a small place. I spent a few minutes thinking about a time when I had to forcefully push something into a smaller place, and it reminded me of what I almost always do. I always cram my clothes into my drawers because I don't have a closet. And that's a great example because it is personal. Now it's your turn. Take the word fluffy, which means very soft to touch. Instead of just saying something is fluffy, talking about an imaginary object that has never existed, think about something that's really soft in your life. It could be your pet's fur, a cozy blanket, or whatsoever. To learn this word best, make a personalized example sentence and comment down below. I have seen how well this approach works for me as well as my students. So just give it a try in your own language learning and get pleasantly surprised by the results. By the way, if you have any tips for learning new words, feel free to share with us in the comment section below. Looking forward to reading your comments and seeing you soon in the next video. Happy learning!